Another Summer League game in the books for the Utah Jazz squad, and things have continued to get interesting for them. Honestly, I was thoroughly surprised that they were able to pull off the comeback, but leave it up to the 76ers to blow their lead. Nevertheless, there was a lot more good and decent than there was ugly today, which is why things are very much worth talking about. If you're into the new Utah Jazz or NBA content in general, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and become a member of the channel to help support the content. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this breakdown. They opted to go with the 8-man rotation today. The only person that really didn't play that I would have liked to see, I guess, at all was probably Kenneth Lofton Jr., maybe Justin Preston, depending on who you are. But the 8 that they played, I loved the rotation that they ran. I enjoyed watching the minutes for the most part. Cody Williams was struggling mightily shooting the ball, which was a little bit of a head scratcher. I didn't hate his looks, though, so I'm not necessarily concerned about the transition from him hitting those shots, because those were the shots that he should be taking for the most part. He did end up going 0 for 8 for the game, 0 for 4 from 3. He did hit both of his free throws, though, so that led to the only 2 points that he had. But he also had a positive box score plus minus of a positive 13. Defensively, he brings everything that I was expecting him to. Yes, he does lack the general girth and build, but overall, I just love the length and just the versatility that he provides on that side of the floor. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block. Solid all around the board, with the exception of the shooting, of course. Then you had Walker Kessler, who, despite shooting 2 of 7, one of those ended up being a steal into a slam, which I found to be absolutely crazy. He also had 1 block himself and 3 turnovers, which was a little bit high for him. But box score plus minus, positive 9. He had 15 rebounds. The man looked more intent on playing basketball with a purpose out there, to the tune of 6 offensive rebounds out of that entire 15. Now, he did play 30 minutes, so obviously that's why you're going to get more shot attempts, more rebounds, just more overall things out of him. He did have 4 assists as well, so that was pleasant to see out of him. Development yet to come. I believe that he's capable of making great strides this season, and I think that this was probably one of his better, if not arguably his best game to me personally, watching from a hustle standpoint and an effort standpoint from himself, particularly on the glass. Obviously, he had 15 rebounds, but with this being the most minutes that he played, just the way he was on the glass was the thing that stood out to me. Bryce Sensabaugh had a little bit of a regression game. He was 5 of 13 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, and I believe 2 of his dunks, one of them was on a breakaway long ball from Keyonte George down the court to him while he was streaking down the sideline. He ended up slamming that one home, and then he had another one where he ended up getting a go-ahead pass that led to an easy dunk. But the rest of his shots were not necessarily falling for him today, which was unfortunate, but the first 2 games he had were just so amazing. This is acceptable for me. He was also 6 of 6 from the free throw line, so the shot is definitely consistent. It is there just because he had a one-off game. He also had 2 rebounds, 2 assists. He had 1 block, but he had 5 turnovers, and that was the concerning one for me. Missing shots, it happens. Everybody does that. But when he ends up tying Keyonte George in turnovers, that's a little bit not so pleasant. But he did have 17 points. Box score plus minus was tied for the lowest on the team with only a -4. So that was good. Keyonte George, along with Taylor Hendricks, were the 2 guys that had their showing games. Now, obviously, they haven't had terrible games before. Keyonte did end up scoring 30 at one other point in the first game of the Summer League before they both sat out the second game. And he had 30, but it was mostly off of free throws because his shooting percentage was abhorrent. But today, he was putting a lot of emphasis on hitting those shots as well as hitting his free throws, because instead of 19 free throws like he had the first game, he ended up with 12 this game and hit 11 of those. So you love to see it. From the three-point line, he was 2 of 6 from the field. Overall, he was 9 of 16, which was great. And he also had 2 rebounds, 5 assists. He did have 5 turnovers, a little bit but all in all, he had a box score plus minus of a positive 10. And he just looked more observant of what was going on. He was navigating screens a lot better than I have seen him do recently. So I think that's something that's just going to come out with him more, with more time that he's on the court, number 1, and number 2, with the more time that he has consistently playing with certain bigs. Because in the first game in particular, Yes, they didn't have a long stretch of time to just spend around each other, but it just looked like people were calling for screens and people didn't know how to properly utilize the screens, and the screener didn't know how the guard wanted to utilize the screen, which just created a whole disjoint type of offensive system. This time, there was a lot more intentional actions going on offense, and Keyonte George was a little bit more of a directionist, which I appreciated because that's something that a lot of people were expecting from him. I still think that Isaiah Collier is more of a prototypical point guard than Keyonte George. Keyonte's definitely a scorer first type of guard, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think sometimes his floor general abilities and his just overall sight of the floor and willingness to make certain passes can be lacking at times, whereas Isaiah Collier is just willing to try and fit that needle in there regardless, and I enjoy that about his game. To talk about Taylor Hendricks, 6 of 10 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, went 2 of 4 from the free throw line, 6 boards, 1 of them being offensive, an assist, team leading 3 blocks, only 2 turnovers, 18 points. Box score plus minus was the highest on the team, 15, positive. I mean, I loved it. Defensively, he was there. He was active. Hands and passing lanes. He was trying to block everything, to be quite honest with you. And he also was not too extremely foul prone. He did have 3 personals, but I mean, if you give me 3 blocks, I'm willing to bite that, especially across 32-ish minutes. I just really loved his production. He was hitting his threes. It looked like he was more calm, more enjoying of the moment. He was a little bit more stationary, a little bit more consistent with his base as far as that was concerned. So that was a big stride in the correct direction, or a big step in the right direction, shall I say. And I hope that he will continue to improve on it, because this is to me what not even peak Taylor Hendricks looks like, but the middle ground, like intermediate Taylor Hendricks would look like this as he's going through his developmental process. Because if you can give me 18 and 6, I would love to give him like 18 and 8. If he plays big minutes this year, which I think is extremely likely, then I would love to see like even 16 and 8. That would be a great stat line for him. Just anything that's closer to a double-double while also hitting around 37-ish% of his threes. If he can get closer to 40, that would be fantastic. But I'm not going to sit there and set that stipulation for him, because I don't want him to feel like that is too high of an asking bar for a guy that's just coming into his second year and only played in a quarter of the games for the previous season for the overall team. Darius Bazley off the bench, again, defensively, he was there the whole time. 18 minutes, he was 3 of 3 from the field, hit his 1 3-pointer, had 6 defensive rebounds, had an assist, had a block, had 1 turnover and 1 personal, 7 points total, box score plus minus of a -3. I like what I saw out of him. Some people just hit the shot while he had his hand up, but he was right there every time where he needed to be. He was directing traffic. I just like Darius Bazley as a defensive prospect, and if he can give us a couple of points off the bench as well with that, I love that. A long-term piece, I genuinely enjoy that very much so. Flip had a rough game. Not quite as rough as Cody Williams. Cody Williams redeemed himself defensively, but Flip was a little bit more active defensively than he has been in previous games, but offensively he did end up being 1 of 6 from the field, which was not preferred. He was 0 of 2 from 3 again, so he's still yet to hit a 3, but it's coming. He had 5 rebounds total, 4 of them were offensive, which was nice, but they mostly came on the same possession. And then he also had 2 steals, a block, 3 turnovers, 3 personals, and 2 points total. Would have tied negative box score plus minus with Bryce Sensabaugh at a -4, which was not great. Obviously, he only played 15 and a half minutes, so that's to be expected to a certain extent. But I'm just waiting to see that one game where he like really pops on the scene and we're like, this is why we drafted this guy. Because right now, it doesn't look like we got necessarily a steal if you look at his numbers from the Summer League, but you got to take a Summer League with a grain of salt. Yes, it does matter. I don't agree with people that say that the Summer League doesn't matter, because there's some guys that are genuinely trying to prove that they belong in the NBA in these games. On the same side of things, if you're already guaranteed a spot on the official roster, it's more so to prove, hey, I deserve to be here. I deserve what I have. And I think that he just needs that opportunity to like really push himself over the edge to the point where the expectation is success. The abysmal shooting, he's going to have to go something crazy like 0 of 10 from the field before I say, he can't shoot at all, or maybe he's just a G League prospect for this entire season. I think that sometimes the positions that he gets put in on offense aren't fair to him, and they're not the most conducive to his individual success when it comes to his opportunities to shoot a shot. But I digress, because I think that ultimately things will end up working out in his favor. And last but not least, we have Isaiah Collier, who played in 19.5 minutes, 4-6 from the field, 1-2 from 3. That was a deep 3-2 that he hit. Was 3-3 from the free throw line, had 4 rebounds, 2 of them being offensive, had 3 assists, 2 steals, only 1 turnover, 12 points total, box score plus minus a positive floor. I love what he does. I enjoy it very much. He's just a very dog energy type of individual. Attack downhill, had a tough and one, ended up getting laid out on the deck, but still got the ball to go down. And he just plays with a level of intensity that reminds me of Colin Sexton, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. I think that he's a little bit more comfortable with passing than Colin was as a rookie and making certain reads that were necessary for the team to be successful. So I do very much enjoy watching him play. I do think that we can rely on him a lot more than I originally thought. But at the same time, he was the number 1 prospect coming out of high school, going into college. He didn't have an elite situation with his team, which is also why I feel a different way about Bronny than most people do. Kill me on the mountain, you know. I'm a Bronny defender. Most number 55 overall picks and most late second round picks just in general don't get to play. They just don't. Most of them are out of the league within like a year, if not 2 seasons. So the fact that Bronny's looking the way that he is, at the very least defensively, offensively, he seems a little bit hesitant. I might do a video specifically for him, probably on my other channel. But I like that. Collier, I like what he's doing. I enjoy it very much. I feel like this is the steal that we really got. Like Cody Williams has yet to hit. Flip has yet to hit. They're there though. Like I see the flashes I need to see. It's just going to take a little bit more time for them. But Collier, he's there. He's there. You can play him. I feel like you could play him 20 minutes a night on the NBA floor, and he won't look out of place. His first couple games, he might be a little wake up to the league moment. Defensively, he might have to be a little bit better communicating. He might have to realize that some guys, if you leave them open, they will hit that shot. If you close out late, they will hit that shot. If you jump and fly by, they will hit that shot, or they might just put on the burners and go right at the rim. But I feel comfortable with it. I think that they're going to be pretty solid. Against the 76ers, again, it was a solid team for them. They had Ricky Council. He was 6 of 11 from the field, had 20 points, led their team. You had Jeff Doughton Jr., 6 of 13 from the field, 18 points. And then Jared McCain, surprisingly enough, had a bad game in 17.5 minutes, 1 of 9 from the field. So I'm sure the TikTok jokes are going crazy with his content right now. But nevertheless, the Jazz got it done. I like the fashion that it came. We learned some things about some people. We saw some things from some people that we needed to see. And there's a couple people that we're still holding out hope for because, again, while it matters right now, it's not the end of the road. But let me know what you guys saw in the game. Let me know if there's something that I failed to cover or if there's something that you think was very important for them going forward. I think the coaching was a little bit better this game than it was in the first 2. And maybe that's also because of the continuity of the players and then just simply understanding each other's games a little bit more and having film to actually go over. But that could just be me just chatting. With that being said, thanks for tuning in this video. As always, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. Go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and become a member of the channel to help support the content. That being said, good morning, good evening, and good night. No matter where you're on the globe watching, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.